let's do the fan game.
Is this
of the
the
week.
JP 10-minute monologue?
No, but I have a text that
Well,
I'm gonna read.
Okay.
And that'll pretty much signify the breakdown of this game. But this week's fan game of the week is the biggest game in the Sun Belt all year until the Sun Belt Championship. GATA at James Madison. This is it's a hot commodity. The lowest ticket price you can get right now is $140 for JMU and Georgia Southern. Georgia Southern started the year at Fresno State, lost kind of in a heartbreaker fashion. They were just terrible in the second half. JMU lost in heartbreaking fashion to Louisville. And then Georgia Southern's other loss is at USC, which they actually put up a fine performance in Clay Helton's return to the Coliseum. But this is the biggest game of the Sun Belt this entire season. Neither of these teams have played a Sun Belt game yet. This would be start 1-0 and also hold the tiebreaker, which would be key for these two teams, especially since the Sun Belt is one of the few conferences that still has divisions, meaning these two teams are in the same division. Only one of them goes to the Sun Belt Championship game. So this is massive. But here's my text from our boots on the ground GATA correspondent, also our Falcons correspondent, Thomas Mickle. Saturday, September 27th at 1:30 p.m. Eastern is when Georgia Southern's Sun Belt season begins on the road at James Madison. The fact is, Georgia Southern has been underwhelming to start the season. During the first half of the college football season, Georgia Southern had tied Fresno State 14-14. The end result, a 42-14 loss. Not a single point scored in the second half. Week 2 is the same story. We played USC close until halftime. The optimism here is Georgia Southern has returned to its historically good running game, and this seems to be the best possible scenario. In its 2 bounce-back victories, second-year starter quarterback J.C. French has only thrown for 440 yards. But the rushing attack has totaled over 400 across the 2 games, led by O.J. Arnold, who has been a starter since his true freshman season. This is excellent. J.C. French has been ass, to say the least, according to Thomas. After air raid head coach Clay Helton came from USC, the program led the FBS in passing yards, attempts, and many other passing-related stats. The result has been 2 bowl game losses and an NFL caliber running backs not getting any attention that they deserve, and also Younghoe Koo, which is a sad story also for a Falcons fan there as well.
That is tough.
This is the take from GATA correspondent. If Georgia Southern can play mediocre defense and run the ball effectively, they can keep up with the 17.5-point favorites in JMU. If Georgia Southern is forced to pass to win, expect a blowout and the end of Georgia Southern's season in the first game of Sun Belt Conference play. If they can, however, do those 2 things, I'd expect a close 50 to 60 point shootout, meaning both teams score 50 to 60 points, that ends in the fourth quarter. He's taking GATA.
Of course he is.
I love JMU and GATA. These are both 2 of my favorite
Sure.
Sun Belt schools. I'm a big Dukes guy, big Eagles guy. Rest in peace, Freedom.
100%.
I'm going to take GATA to cover as well this weekend. J.C. French, I agree, has not been good to start the season. The hype behind him was unironically one of the highest hypes I've seen around any quarterback coming into the season. Like up there with like Arch Manning level hype within the Georgia Southern circles. And he has been terrible to start the season. On the flip side, JMU has been solid at quarterback, but it's been just like a question of like, why aren't we just starting one guy like Alonzo Barnett?
I think they figured that one out.
They figured that out.
Sluka didn't take a snap.
Okay, that's
in
huge.
Their last game. I want to see if that holds up because GATA has really struggled against the run, and Sluka's kind of the running package quarterback. So we may see him some in this game, but I hope it's limited to like 1 or 2 spots and not this like once or twice a drive type because it was terrible. Alonzo Barrett's the better quarterback.
Oh,
and so
100%.
And it's like the running backs are good, too. The trio they run out, Wayne Knight, George Pettaway, Ayo Adeyi. Like, you don't need Sluka to run the football. You have the running backs and the offensive line to do it, so it makes no sense.
Agreed.
So I hope they stick with that. It's weird with J.C. French. I was looking into him a little bit. I've not watched any GATA this year live. He actually grades out really well as a downfield thrower this year, but then you look at the short numbers, and it's really bad, which doesn't make any sense. It's like the PFF grades are astonishing in that regard. So, yeah, if they can run the ball and then he can hit a couple deep shots, it's a game. But I don't think they have any way of slowing down James Madison. Like, they're going to have to score a ton to win this game. So, do you want to try and explain GATA again?
GATA? So it's just a saying they have there at Georgia Southern. I don't exactly remember the origin, but the saying, it's an acronym that's for get after that ass. That is essentially what it is. Get after that ass. They say GATA a ton. And it's like Hail State here. It's just their big phrase there at Georgia Southern.
Gotcha.
It's massive. Our correspondent has GATA tattooed on his left butt cheek. So if that kind of
Carter Finster style.
Yeah, if that puts any like withholding to that statement, how much it means there, that's evidence right there. I love GATA in Georgia Southern.
So you're taking GATA to cover?
I think they'll cover the 17.5. I don't know if they'll win. I think if this was at home, this would be a lot more competitive. Last year it was a shootout, really came down to the end, and James Madison was able to sneak away with it at Georgia Southern. But James Madison, that's a really tough place to play, unironically. They play really well there at home, and the 1:30 kickoff is going to help a little bit with the home crowd environment, but I think it's going to be too much for Georgia Southern. But I think they'll cover 17.5.
Sure.
I think these teams are more closely matched than people think, and then definitely than Vegas thinks. I think you see the Fresno State and the USC result and think Georgia Southern isn't good, but again, this is a Sun Belt team that literally had to fly across the country for both of those games, at Fresno and at USC, and that's just not going to be no team. Not even Big Ten teams are good at that right now. The West Coast teams that have flown east have not been good. USC specifically, so you can't expect that out of Georgia Southern. This one, obviously up there in Virginia, different story. Yeah. So I think Georgia Southern covers 17.5. That's too many points.
I wish when I moved it wasn't 2020, because I would have loved to go to a game, but it just didn't happen at the time, because I lived literally 40 minutes away from Harrisonburg, where James Madison is. But now I'm in Starkville, so I guess I don't really live there anymore. I'm going to take James Madison to cover, though. I trust that team a lot, and I don't know much about Georgia Southern, so I'm just going to trust the team that I like and I think is well coached. And I think I figured out their quarterback issues, and that plays fast on defense to just score a ton of points and keep scoring and get enough stops to cover 17.5. So give me James Madison.
Yeah, I'm going to explain my pick real quick. Here are the current pick'em standings. Jack is 8-14. JP is 10-12. And I lead the way at 13-9.
So you're going to go with JP here.
I can't let JP.
That's crazy. This early in the season, this is how you're going to lose.
But
you're going to let us back in.
But also, I don't know the insider, but I know JP who knows the insider. So I'm one person removed from our insider at Georgia Southern.
Sounds like a pretty biased inside source.
Did he say who? I assume he's picking Georgia Southern to cover.
Yes,
he has them winning.
Okay. Oh, he had them winning. My bad. Yeah. I missed that. Yeah, I'm gonna also have to pick Georgia Southern. It's twofold. One person removed from an inside source who has them winning. How can you not pick them to cover? And then also, I can't let JP catch up a game.
This is shaping up to potentially be a huge week for me. That's all I'm saying.